Okay, I believe we can start. Good morning and good afternoon, everybody. So please, thank you first of all for joining today's webinar. So I would like to introduce myself and to introduce my colleagues who will be running today's webinar. So my name is Grigory Vasilenko. I'm a moderator of today's webinar, as well as I'm leading the Swift team at IntellectEU. Together with me, we have Omar Rodriguez on the call, who is responsible for the financial services transformation programs at IntellectEU, as well as we are pleased to say that we're joined by our colleagues from Swift, Martina Luanjula and Paul Batubenge. They are regional business development managers at Swift. So the topic of today's webinar is get the best out of Swift Essentials and Swift Alliance Cloud and Swift APIs. So the webinar will cover the IntellectEU overview and approach, our Catalyst Integration Manager platform, and the services portfolio, while Martina will cover Swift Essentials and Paul will cover Swift Alliance Cloud. So by the end of this webinar, you will have a better sense on how to get the best out of Swift Essentials, Swift Alliance Cloud, Swift APIs, which are enabled by IntellectEU's product, which is called Catalyst Integration Manager, and complemented, of course, by our services portfolio. But before we proceed, I would also like to mention that the webinar duration will be 1 hour. At the end of the webinar, there will be a dedicated slot for a Q&A. During the webinar, all the participants will stay muted. But if you have any questions, please feel free to post those questions into Q&A chat, and we will try to answer all of those questions at the end of the webinar. So the webinar will be recorded, and everyone who is registered to the webinar will get the recording afterwards. So thank you for your attention. I will put myself on mute and pass the word to my colleague, Omar.
Thank you, Gregory. Well, good morning and good afternoon, everybody, wherever you are in the world. So we are IntellectEU. We've been in the market for 17 years. We are headquartered in Belgium. We have offices in Ukraine, Poland, Portugal, and the US. And we have delivered 400 plus projects in 30 plus countries servicing globally with a team of 240 plus members. We are spread across the globe, including myself. I'm working out of Spain. So what we do can be simplified in 4 domains within the services for within the financial services and payment space. So we provide a strategic advisory, solution design, project delivery, and we are masters of integration. And this is underpinned by our Catalyst Integration Manager platform, which I'll cover later on. When we talk about our Swift services portfolio, well, this is something that has been built with 17 years of experience working hand in hand with Swift. Our Catalyst Integration Manager platform enables the Swift Essentials, concretely the APIs like transaction screening, the payments pre-validation, GPI, Swift Go, and Swift Security View, amongst others. We also provide specialized Swift services like ISO 20022. We are a CSP assessor, and we can support migrations to the public cloud and manage services and care and customer care. Now, there is an opportunity or a challenge depending on how you look at it. So ISO 20022 is the big elephant in the room. To us, this is an opportunity to capitalize on market events driving payments modernization initiatives. But look at the big picture and don't miss out. Take this opportunity to adhere or improve your AML and transaction screening capabilities leverage Swift Essentials APIs, and perhaps adopt an API architecture when refreshing your tech stack. And don't forget to assess the benefits of cloud-based infrastructure. We're seeing many market participants embracing ISO 20022 to get the best out of it. So leverage this opportunity to leapfrog, become more efficient, competitive, and resilient. So what are the benefits of ISO 20022? Well, its implementation reduces risk and maintenance costs, is more efficient transaction screening, improved processing time and accuracy, and better customer experience. So the value of structured and enriched data in ISO 20022 messages provide, ensuring a better and faster end-to-end management of payments. But there are also challenges when you need to implement ISO 20022, and those are understanding the complexity of ISO 20022 as a payment standard. Do not underestimate this. It's not a simple technical migration like many people think of. There is more to it. You need for a migration strategy and execution plan, and understanding the migration risk and preparing mitigation strategies. Maybe you want to coexist. Maybe you want to, let's say, have a big bang approach. It depends in what context, whether it's domestic, cross-border. So you really need to look at this holistically. How IntellectEU can help? Well, we can help you map your current payment landscape, execute impact assessment, define implementation roadmaps, and as I said before, help you to identify those risks and define the risk mitigation strategies for that ISO 20022 readiness journey that I'm just going to walk you through, where we would help you with that impact assessment, which consists in taking, I would call it like pretty much like a stock of your current situation, which we call as is, and then define the ideal to be state. And you can look at this from a tactical and a strategic perspective. And our Catalyst Integration Manager platform can support both approaches. They are not mutually exclusive. Now I hand it over to my colleague, Martina, to cover Swift Essentials.
It's actually me, Omar, so I will speak about
sorry, Paul.
Essentials. No worries. Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Batubenge from Swift. Some of you may or may not know me. So I cover Central African countries as well as some SADC countries. So happy to be here today to talk about Swift Essentials. You may or may not know about Swift Essentials by now. But just to touch up on Swift Essentials, so it was initially announced in September 2023 at Cybos in Toronto by the Swift Board of Directors. And basically, we are a cooperative, right, at Swift, and we belong to the banks. And everything we do really is to respond to a need that exists in the banking community. There's a couple of successful initiatives we've taken on in the past, like the Swift Customer Security Program. In that same light, we introduced Swift Essentials. Okay, and over the past couple of years, we've invested a lot in developing some solutions that will fit into our instant and frictionless strategy. And at the core of that, we have G20 objectives, right? Because we also regulated by G20 countries. So as an objective, G20 has set out a number of goals to enhance speed, reduce cost when it comes to transaction, and also provide transparency. So that has fitted nicely into our instant and frictionless strategy. And over the past couple of years has resulted in solutions that we have developed and have now put and have opened it up to everyone connected to the Swift network. And the benefit of Swift Essentials really is to elevate your end customer experience. So we will see the solutions in the next couple of coming slides. So it's not just for your end customers, but I'm sure your operators at the bank as well will enjoy the benefits of the solutions developed. So it's really to streamline operations, make your customers happy, and raise the bar, right? So for once, now with Swift Essentials, all the solutions, everyone will be on the same page. It's uniform to everyone connected to the Swift network. has access to these solutions, and it's not just reserved to some banks who could afford it previously in the past. And then, of course, it's simple and predictable. Every year, you should get one simple invoice that will cover the license cost of all the solutions that are in scope of your Swift Essentials invoice. These invoices should have gone out already by now, but yeah, if not, double check with your finance teams. Okay, so what is Swift Essentials, right? I mentioned the solutions we developed, I mentioned the G20 objectives, and in practical form, it's really these 8 solutions that you are seeing on your screen right now. So we have opened this up now to everyone connected on the Swift network. So it does come now with your Swift connectivity that you are provisioned for these solutions. So we've got Swift GPI and Swift Go for faster payment. And then we've got pre-validation and case management. This is really to eliminate friction. At the moment, you are capturing a payment, and we'll see that in the next slide where that fits in your transaction. But these 8 solutions are part of the pack, and you would have probably received communication about this by now already. If not, please double check with your point of contact. But your Swift connectivity now does come with these solution provision, and all you need to do now is activate them. So there are some solutions that are free to onboard and some are payable, and these details can be verified with your account manager. And then this slide here really speaks to where each of these solutions fit when we look at a transaction end-to-end, right? So at payment initiation, you could leverage services like Swift pre-validation, which is in scope of the package. So this will allow you to double check your counterparty data, your recipient data prior to you sending the payment. So this will avoid errors that usually results in the payment being either rejected or cancelled, which means you need to recapture it again, and that is costly, right? You could use SwiftRef as well, which will assist in just knowing double checking your counterparty institution data as well. So that is at payment initiation. You could use payment controls as well, using some of the filters that come with payment controls. This will assist you in any anomaly detection at payment initiation. So once the payment is initiated and now being processed, you could use the speed given to you by Swift GPI. And for those who may be Swift Go members, you could use the speed given by Swift Go as well, with 89% of transactions reaching the recipient within 1 hour. So that is with Swift GPI. And then in case of exception and investigation, we have case management, which is really which is the standard now for exception and investigations. So instead of sending emails, making phone calls, sending empty 199s, like it's currently done at the moment, there is a new standard for exception and investigation, which is the case management solution, right? So these are high level, really how these solutions can be applied. The good thing as well is that you can, some of them via APIs, you can expose them to your banking channels, making it available for your customers as well, okay? So just to recap, this came live, it was announced in September, but in January 2024 is when Swift Essentials really came into play. And then, yeah, so all we're asking is for the banks to review their entitlement, review the solutions that they are entitled to now, thanks to Swift Essentials. But you still need to place your e-order, right? So you have these solutions, but you still need to implement them, and that is done via e-order. And then obviously there will be some implementation done with a Swift consultant or even with our complementers. So you may check with IntellectEU how they can assist you in onboarding some of these solutions. So yeah, that is Swift Essentials in a nutshell. It's a group of 8 solutions that is now opened up to the whole community. And we do have some community onboardings happening at the moment, namely for solutions like GPI. We do have one for case management as well. But reach out to your account manager, reach out to IntellectEU, and see how they can assist you in onboarding these solutions. Yeah.
Thank you, Paul. So now I'm going to cover Catalyst Integration Manager, which is our platform to enable the Swift Essentials. So what it is basically a flexible integration framework that leverages out-of-the-box connectors and utilize customer predefined translators while providing detailed logging capabilities, enhancing overall operational resilience. What are the core features? So message transformation. So our application is already CBPR Plus certified. It's also Swift API ready. So it supports out of the box payments pre-validation, transaction screening, GPI, SwiftGo, and others. It also allows to orchestrate traffic, so supports matching and reconciliation and seamless integration with external systems, so like a third-party AML solution that you may want to integrate with. And it has an intuitive user interface with real-time alerts and event logs for operational resiliency. So how it works, the core engine utilizes financial messaging libraries and connectors to import the data, leveraging existing or custom transformation data mappings that can handle any input format. So whatever your back office or database needs to consume, we can handle it and be translated to whichever output format is required by your counterpart. How do we address the integration challenge? So our approach is to deliver a pretty easy, a simple methodology, which consists of gathering requirements, and the output is a functional requirement specification document. Then we move on to the design phase and we create an overall design document. Then obviously we have to go into the development phase where we make sure that those functional and non-functional requirements and the design of the solution are implemented as they're expected. And we prepare the installation and configuration guide. Then we verify and test all those requirements and make sure that that we provide support during the deployment and go live phase. So now I hand it over now to Martina.
All right, thank you so much, Omar. So Martina is Omar had same working for Swift, and I'm pleased to present to you Alliance Cloud. So this is Alliance Cloud is one of our it's a natural evolution to the universal channels that are used to access the financial community. All right. What this new offering gives you is the ability to adapt and respond quickly to changing business needs, your market needs, making you more agile and flexible. All right. So on this screen, what we're showing you is how the transition from traditional on-premise setup to Alliance Cloud is a game changer for many financial institutions in terms of how it impacts the total cost of ownership as well as the responsibilities of the financial institutions. So when we look at the left-hand side of the screen, titled the on-premise infrastructure, you will see here that financial institutions were responsible for procuring, managing, as well as maintaining all of the aspects of your IT environment. They're all listed there, the applications, the middleware, your operations, service, connectivity, all this was at your responsibility. And then we naturally shifted to the middle of the screen here, where you can see the servers as well as connectivity became now the responsibility of our partners, such as our public cloud provider partners, which is Azure, AWS, and Google. And what we will be discussing today is the software as a service solution that has been made available to the community since 2009 with Alliance Light 1 that we started. And then for the past 10 years, we have Alliance Light 2. We still currently have it. And what I am presenting today is Alliance Cloud, which is an enhanced version of Alliance Light 2. Here, what you're doing is essentially offloading the management of Swift's infrastructure to Swift. All right. So what this shift means is that you can enjoy a reduced total cost of ownership, increased agility, so that you can focus on what you do best, which is, of course, running of your core business operation. So think of it as upgrading to a more efficient, a more cost-effective way of managing your financial communication, while Swift will be handling the infrastructure management for you. All right. So on the next, discussing on how this works, how the Alliance Cloud works. And here, firstly, before I mention how it works, we call it Alliance Cloud. We didn't decide, well, Swift didn't decide to call it Alliance Light 3, but it's important to note that Alliance Cloud, does not mean that it's hosted in the public cloud. It's hosted in Swift's private cloud, right? And what Alliance Cloud does, again, is gives you access to the financial community through Swift messaging services, right? So you get access to the Fin, Amex, as well as File Act, all right? When you look in the middle of the screen, you will see here that Alliance Cloud is compatible with all of our value-added services, the GPI, our Swift Ref, our Financial Crime Compliance Suite, as well as Transaction Manager. And it is also ready, and it aligns with all of our global initiatives, which is, of course, ISO 20022, on the cross-border side with CBPR Plus, as well as all of your domestic migrations and regional migrations, right? And then when it comes to CSP, of course, the scope is reduced because you have offloaded this to Swift, and the operations are managed at Swift. So here with Alliance Cloud, what makes it much more interesting and a game changer is that it allows you to easily consume our next generation API services. So it lets you connect to Swift messaging through APIs, right? And you're also able to use API for other services, such as the Transaction Manager, our pre-validation services that Paul had mentioned. Some of those services are used through API technology, transaction screening, GPI, and much more. So to use these services, you'll need an API footprint, which of course IntellectEU, our complementers such as IntellectEU can assist you with, which is your SDK or your micro gateway, and integration with your back office will obviously be handled by them. If you are not API ready, there's no need to worry there. You can still connect to Alliance Cloud with simple component that uses file-based connectivities, which can be integrated through SIL. Regarding the VPN boxes, I don't know, Omar, if on the next slide it has that busy slide or not. Okay, so we'll stay on that slide, sorry. Regarding VPN boxes, if you do have your data centers on site, then you will host your VPN boxes. But if you're using public cloud servers, then as you can see on the screen, we have partnered, as I mentioned previously, with Azure, AWS, and Google, and you can choose virtual connectors instead. All right. So on the next slide, I'll be mentioning yes, the benefits, which makes Alliance Cloud really one of the superior choices for financial institutions. It's quite easy to use. It has an intuitive GUI. It is user-friendly from the feedback that we have received from many of the customers that have already migrated. It's plug and play, and it integrates with your, of course, it's plug and play and easily integrates to your back office. We have a single sign-on to different services. So you would, whether it's just for messages, you have to use the GPI or the RMA portal. What Alliance Cloud allows you to do is to navigate the various services with just one login. Total cost of ownership is reduced, as I mentioned at the beginning, of course, because you offload the management of the infrastructure to Swift, and essentially you're minimizing the physical customer infrastructure and the people assigned to maintain the infrastructure. CSP is reduced, of course, because Swift is managing a lot of the security aspects centrally, right? It is future-proof, and it accommodates high volumes, and we're looking at the end of this year having Alliance Cloud support 150 messages per day, right? But currently, what it accommodates is 50,000 messages. So it's for the relatively smaller to the much larger financial institutions, right? Of course, it's ready for market initiatives like ISO 20022 as well. It is quite reliable. It has all of the Swift security measures in place. And what is in the roadmap and what we're looking at in the future is making sure that we provide you a 24/7 service for uninterrupted access. All right. On the next slide, I'll be just talking about how, which is before last slide, talking about how customers can connect to Alliance Cloud. It's pretty straightforward and can be done in mainly two ways, right? So through manual creations, right, user to application, you even have templates the templates that you use frequently, and of course you would just have to change the information. And then you also have the automated flows, which are application to application. And here the SIL, our Swift integration layer, would facilitate the communication between your back office and Alliance Cloud. When it comes to the VPN, when it comes to, you're able to access Alliance Cloud either through the internet, right, or VPN connection. And as I mentioned previously, for those who have your data centers on site, you would host them. And then we also have the option for the VPN to be hosted in the public cloud. It's important to note that regardless of how you connect, whether it's manually or with the automated flows, all of the end users will receive personal tokens to authenticate themselves to the Alliance Cloud service. And you all get 10 tokens. You would get 10 tokens and certificates, which your security officers would create, download, and assign users. And then for the automated processes, you're able to build, you would be, I guess you'll be building flows in-house and use the REST APIs for integration, which of course, complementers and our partners like IntellectEU is used to doing. So yes, think of this as having a secure access to a suite of powerful financial tools, and whether you choose to do it to manually control Alliance Cloud or automate your flows, Alliance Cloud will be able to accommodate you there. I don't know if we have the last slide or if this was this is a slide that just shows you feedback that we have received from customers, right? And I'm sure you will be receiving the slides, so you'll be able to go through it. And of course, we are available. IntellectEU is also available, and we can further discuss how you can migrate to this to this channel. Thank you so much, Omar, and over to you.
Thank you, Martina.
All right.
So now I'm just going to cover the services portfolio, and one of our, let's say, proposal is to simplify the connectivity to the Swift network, and we provide a lightweight, future-proof, end-to-end solution. So we package basically Alliance Cloud with our Catalyst Integration Manager platform as one solution that enables you to connect to the Swift network, but at the same time enables on-prem integration tooling to support the API's consumption, data transformation, and workflow orchestration. And complementary, or optionally, I should say, you could have managed services, customer care, and it's already CSP compliant. So this is our new value proposition to give you an end-to-end Swift solution. Now, I'm just going to cover how we manage the Alliance Cloud infrastructure. So we just provide migration services, implementation services. We can help with the integration piece as well as managing any Swift interface and support while bolstering the cybersecurity. Now, how can we benefit from a Swift infrastructure in the cloud? Security and compliance, availability and redundancy, scalability, effective management of technology stack complexity, and obviously expertise, availability, and cost efficiency. This is how we help our customers with a cloud offering, which is create a proof of concept, do the analysis and design, help with the migration, maintenance, and the compliance. And last but not least, we have our customer security. We support the customer security program as an independent CSP assessor. So to conclude, IntellectEU is a reliable and trusted partner that's been working with Swift for 17 years, hand in hand, and we have delivered a lot of projects on their behalf. And as an accredited complementer, we can provide a smooth onboarding and reliable support, reduce your total cost of ownership. As I said before, we offer a future-proof solution and service which is totally aligned with Swift's zero footprint strategy and API enablement. We are resilient and secure, and it is CSP compliant. So with this, I'll open the floor for questions, and I thank you for your time and also my co-host for supporting this discussion. Over to you, Greg, in case that we have already questions in the chat box.
Thank you, Omar. Thank you, everyone, for driving the webinar, and thank you to the audience who participated in it. So indeed, we have a couple of questions already. So I will start one by one. So the first question is, can the central banks migrate to Alliance Cloud? Martina, do you mind if I take this question, or would you want to answer? How would you want to proceed?
Yeah, we can take it together.
Okay, so
okay. So for central banks, it depends on the RTGS system that you have, the domestic flows, whether it is on a Y copy or a V copy. So we do have in the roadmap plans to include Y copy to support the Y copy, but at the moment, the answer is that it depends. We'll have to take it on a case-by-case basis. And if your RTGS is on Y copy, not yet.
Yes, and to complement, but for the other scenarios, yes, it's technically possible.
It's possible, yes, but it's on the roadmap. So
thank you, Martina.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
And additional question in this regard, the central bank uses Fin Plus, and Filect services. So there is no problem. So all of these services, they work on Alliance Cloud. So these services are supported. Thank you for the questions. I'm going further to the next question that we have. And the question is, can we integrate our screening service with Alliance Cloud? So here we need to basically, there are several ways to answer this question, right? So first of all, if we are speaking about the third-party screening service, right, then this third-party screening service needs to be called before the message is sent to Alliance Cloud, because the third-party screening services, they cannot be directly integrated. However, this is exactly the place where IntellectEU can support, because our Catalyst Integration Manager, as an integration platform, it can integrate with various third-party systems, including the screening systems. So basically, the Catalyst Integration Manager will sit between the back office application, right, and Alliance Cloud. So whenever the message is sent to Swift, the message will arrive to Catalyst, then it will be forwarded to screening solution, receive the response back, and then deliver the message to Alliance Cloud, and vice versa. However, the other aspect is that Swift also provides the AML solution, which is called transaction screening. And transaction screening can be used together with Alliance Cloud, right? And again, there are various ways to implement it. So it can be used as a Y copy option, right? So in this scenario, when the message is sent to Alliance Cloud and further to the network, the message will go to the screening service. However, another benefit of this transaction screening service is that this service is available through the APIs. So customers who would like to benefit from the API usage and, let's say, being able to faster react on the screening results, they may use API. And this means that the message can be screened even before it was sent to Alliance Cloud in this case. And again, in order to implement the API and start using it, there is Intellect and our platform Catalyst Integration Manager that can support such integration. So basically, there are several flavors how you can use the screening solutions, and of course, screening solutions from Swift.
Are there any other questions, or everything was so crystal clear that we covered pretty much all the doubts that people may have on the call?
I see that we have further questions in the comment section of the meeting. So I will start with the first one. There are several questions, right? So what are the best practices for integrating Swift Essentials into existing financial systems, right? So again, if colleagues from Swift would like to complement what I will be saying, but I first of all would mention that as an example, you can start with implementing basically payment pre-validation service, right? Which can save you time and of course money by allowing you to verify the beneficiary account information and the beneficiary name even before the payment is sent to the network, right? So as an example, right? Of course, from the essentials perspective, and its transaction screening is not included by default into the essentials. However, it can be included, and probably colleagues from Swift will be able to complement that. But yeah, another step is that you can perform the message screening again before or after you send it to the network. So these are very beneficial things that bank can or financial institution can start looking at as part of Swift Essentials. And I would say that very popular. Paul, Martina, do you want to add anything to this first question?
Yeah, let me add as well that when you do place the order for a particular solution that you would like to implement, we do have experts, we do have technical experts as per whichever solution you choose to implement. They will be in contact with you. They will hold your hand through the planning process to ensure that any risk that could be faced during the implementation phase is mitigated or already spotted, and something is done about it. So you're not alone, and there is some expert planning done before going ahead and implementing any solution that's in scope of Swift Essentials. So whether you choose to go with Swift or even another complementer, there is some scoping work, there is some planning that's done to mitigate any risk that could be faced.
Yep. Thank you, Paul. So this, your comment is also, I believe, a perfect answer to the following question. In addition to the first one, are there any common challenges faced during the implementation, and how can they be mitigated upfront, right? So as Paul mentioned, indeed, Swift can help with the onboarding for the particular service and product, or through the complementers as well. And of course, as an example, right, there might be challenges where, let's say, the financial institution is trying to utilize the APIs, right? And for instance, there is not enough knowledge in-house, right, about how Swift APIs work, or how this should be implemented, how the, let's say, security mechanisms should be used, and how the, let's say, connectivity footprints like Swift SDK or Swift Micro Gateway should be used, right? So in this regard, of course, the consultancy and onboarding services will help a lot to mitigate those risks and avoid the delays. The next question in this section, there is quite a there are several questions placed. What security measures are in place to protect data in Swift Alliance Cloud? So first of all, right, when the message is transmitted to Alliance Cloud, there is the encryption and message signing, right? So the messages, when they are delivered to Alliance Cloud, Swift verifies that the signature of the message is correct. It was signed by the certificate that is registered, and let's say the root certification authority is Swift. The traffic in this case is encrypted. And in addition to that, when, let's say, you use an API channel, right, for communicating with Alliance Cloud, again, as an option. So your security footprint, depending on which you will choose, for example, so I'm talking about the messaging SDK, right? So it will use a certificate issued by Swift, first of all, to authenticate your session, to send a JSON web token to Alliance Cloud, then as a response, it will also receive the access token, right, to transmit the message. So these are some of the security measures provided for the message transmission. And of course, whenever the message already delivered to Swift, so it is safe stored on a Swift site in the Swift network, right, which is basically protected from a variety of the threats. And last but not least, of course, another security layer to protect the transmission is the VPN connectivity, which, by the way, these days can be used also in the, let's say, virtual form. So in the past, as you may know, there were physical VPN boxes provided by Swift, but now there is a possibility also to use virtual boxes, and they can be deployed, for example, in the public cloud. I hope that answers the question, but Martina, feel free, or Paul, feel free to add anything if you would like to do. Okay, so I think we are good. Now, the next question, how does Swift Alliance Cloud comply with global financial regulations and standards? I believe it's more in the business context, so I will ask my Swift colleagues to assist with this question, or alternatively, we may take this one offline. And by the way, also if we will not be able to cover all the questions during the Q&A, you will definitely get the answers via email. So don't worry if your question will not be answered right away.
Correct. Yeah, we can send some of the responses via email, just to be completely sure. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So in this context, I see that there are various questions posted by other people. So this question block that I was going through was pasted by one person. So just to make sure that I also go through the questions from other people, if you don't mind. So the last two questions about the regulations and standards and about trends, we will take this one offline. So for the sake of time, I will go further and yeah, just to make sure that everyone remains happy and everyone's questions are looked. So the next question, what is a typical time frame to get to Alliance Cloud? And also what is the time frame if current Swift user wants to adopt API to make use of essentials? So from my past experience, right, and I can first of all start from the API perspective, right? So there are multiple aspects which impact the timeline, right? So of course, the main, I would say, time consumer is the back office side, basically the side which will be sending certain, let's say, requests and receiving the responses and processing them. So I would say from my perspective, the average timeline to implement the Swift APIs, it will vary, but let's say it can be 3 months, it can be 6 months, it can be more, and a lot depends on, let's say, the back office side. However, from the technical side to, let's say, deploy the Swift footprint, like SDK or micro gateway to get it configured to, let's say, do the provisioning part, right? Because you need to register your application on the developer portal, get the consumer key and consumer secret. You will need to, let's say, place some e-orders, etc., it can be done relatively fast. And there are supporting documentations that help to implement. And of course, that can be complemented by the consultancy services, either from Swift or from complementers like IntellectEU. So I would say the main time consumer here is the back office itself, right? Because you may be able to configure everything from the footprint perspective and how to connect to API, send the requests, receive the responses, provisioning, etc. But the back office may not be ready itself. So from the Alliance Cloud perspective, Martina, would you be so kind to advise what is the usual timeline, let's say happy path for implementation?
Yeah. Here, yeah, it would really depend. Usually, there's an assessment done by our teams. But allow me to, so I started with that. So it 4 months, 4 months is the average time. But it depends. It's on a case-by-case basis. But 4 months is usually.
Thank you, Martina. So yeah, to complement this as well, of course, it really depends on the setup that is used by the financial institution, right? So if the more puzzles there are in the infrastructure organization, right, the more it can impact the time. Either faster, it might be faster or slower, but yeah, there are multiple things, right? Whether it's a full stack, whether it's an ARG customer, for instance, whether there are any custom integrations, etc. So there are multiple factors to do that, but agree with Martina that on average it should be around 4 months. The next question, do you support test connectivity? Absolutely. Both Alliance Cloud and Swift APIs, they support test connectivity. As well as from the API perspective, there is also a Swift sandbox, right? So sandbox is a non-production and even non-pilot environment. So it is a playground for the developers when the organization just started its journey to implement APIs. Without even placing any e-orders, it is already possible to follow the instructions on the sandbox and practice a bit to send the requests and get some mocked responses from the sandbox for your reference. For example, to start working on the back office side, etc. So besides test connectivity for Alliance Cloud and APIs, there is also the sandbox specifically for APIs. Do you plan to develop an Alliance Cloud interface to third-party screening solution in the future? I believe that the third-party screening solutions are not in the question here, right? So Swift, unfortunately, will not be able to, let's say, unless Paul or Martina comment differently, but Alliance Cloud interface is basically linked to Alliance Cloud itself. And yeah, there is also a screening solution from Swift. However, if we look at it from the perspective, let's say, of integration, right, as I mentioned in one of the first questions, that if a customer is using a screening solution from a third-party provider, right, of course, it is possible to create, to utilize our platform Catalyst Integration Manager for using the screening solution, as well as leveraging our user interface there. Okay, so the next question, who should I contact for further information? I guess for further information, the main point of contact is your account manager from Swift. Next one, what is the timeline for migration from Alliance Light 2 to Alliance Cloud, right? So as Martina mentioned, on average, it's 4 months, but with Alliance Light 2, it's even easier, right, compared to the cases, for example, when customer decided to migrate from Alliance Access and the full stack infrastructure. For such cases, it can be even faster. I know that there are, let's say, some tight deadline projects. I've seen those cases as well, where the deadline was to do it within 2 months even. I heard such cases. So it can be pretty fast. And thank you, thank you, Yulia. You also pasted that besides the, let's say, information about, let's say, essentials, ordering the Swift products, etc., feel free to contact Omar Rodriguez from IntellectEU for the questions related also to implementation, integration, how to basically utilize essentials, and also how to communicate with Alliance Cloud. The last question that I see, how Swift perceive the blockchain. So I will leave the word to Paul or Martina if you want to answer, or we take this one offline.
Yeah, so it's a combination of an answer, and I will also send some information offline. But just to summarize, Swift has shown a positive stance towards blockchain technology. And why? Because we have engaged in blockchain interoperability experimentation. And this has been successful. We have done some tests with several financial institutions, and I can send you some of the, I think it's 2 articles that was written about that, so that you can see what exactly was done and yeah, who was involved. Just to summarize, I don't know, Paul, if there's anything more on your side. But yes, it's a positive stance because we have already started engaging in some experiments on that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Martina. Okay, I see that there is a number of questions in the chat, and we all only have 4 minutes to go. So if you don't mind, I will probably just randomly pick 1 or 2 questions to answer, and I will be happy to answer more questions in the written form. So is this optional? If the question is about Alliance Cloud migration, and yeah, for the time being, it is optional. Yes, so customers who are using, let's say, interfaces like Alliance Access, right, they can continue using them, as well as customers who are using Light 2, they can stay on Light 2 for the time being. However, it's such question, I would say, more concerns, I would believe, Light 2 case. But for the time being, it is optional. And of course, for the full stack customers, indeed, it's optional. Swift Essentials, as was mentioned by Swift colleagues, it is included in the, let's say, annual subscription, right? And of course, it is up to customer to decide whether you want to utilize services and products from Essentials. However, of course, we strongly recommend to do so, since everyone is already subscribed to it. Okay, so operations like upgrade of Alliance Cloud, gateways attached to it, is it in Swift scope? How downtime is managed? So you probably may know that there is on Swift.com, there is the section which shows the downtime calendar, right? There is a standard allowed downtime on starting on Saturday and ending on early Sunday morning, right? But the services are operational rest of the time. And again, in the downtime schedule, it is mentioned whether there will be major disruptions or there are no disruptions, or, for example, there are no provision in weekends where are no downtimes. Is it a lift and shift migration from SA on-premise to Alliance Cloud? This really depends on your Alliance Access setup, right? How complex it is, whether it has custom integrations with EPLA component, right? So if, let's say, the Alliance Access setup is very basic, and let's say standard settings without customizations, yes, the migration is easier. However, if we're talking about especially integration cases where you have some custom code, etc., so then you may want to consult with tech enablers like IntellectEU, who could assist you to basically redesign your architecture and find the best possible solution to integrate with Alliance Cloud. Yeah, we are at the very end of our webinar now. So I first of all would like to thank you all for the questions that you pasted in the chat. We have many questions, so I believe and hope that the materials that you heard were interesting for you. And yeah, I would like to probably give a closing word to my colleague Omar and Swift colleagues.
Thank you, Greg. Well, feel free to reach out to your account manager or myself to help you elaborate more or any topic that you may need support with. And again, appreciate the time for attending this webinar. Over to you, Martina and Paul.
Thank you so much, IntellectEU, and thank you to all those who have attended. And yeah, we're here to assist you and respond to all the questions that you have. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this webinar. Thank you to everyone that has joined us this morning. I share the same sentiment with Omar and Martina. Please reach out. You're not alone. Reach out to Intellect, reach out to Swift, and lots of exciting things happening. And yeah, let's make it happen. Thanks.